Hey guys, this is Wes with Still Real Gamefowl, and today in this video, this is going to be one of the most important videos that I do. This is going to be all about raising your chicks up. All about hatching, all about breeding pairs, all about marking your eggs, marking your chicks, everything from the egg all the way to the outside brooders. So in this video, we're also going to be talking about styrofoam incubators. That's what a lot of people use. One, they're cheap. If they break, they're simple to replace. You know, they don't have the holding capacity or, you know, the functionality of a sportsman, but most breeders prefer to use the styrofoam incubators just for how many eggs and how constantly they run them. If a sportsman breaks, you know, you can be replacing a part that could be up to $100. However, when, you know, just a regular styrofoam incubator breaks, you know, you buy a whole brand new one for 50 bucks. So, anyway, the two incubators I'm going to be talking about in the video is going to be the Hoover incubator, which is a Tractor Supply brand, and then I'm going to be talking about the Little Giant incubator that is a Co-op brand. So the video, what we're first going to start out doing is eggs. When you first go out to get your eggs, this is what I carry this around my yard every day. You will not see me outside on my breeding yard without this. I always have my little six half dozen egg crate, and I've got my pencil. That's what I carry out with me all the time. If I see an egg in a pen, I grab it up. The reason for that being is the chickens kick the eggs around sometimes and they bust, and if you're a breeder like I am, a busted egg don't hatch. So pick up your eggs as soon as you can. If it gets cold outside, if you think, oh, well, I'm just going to wait and get the eggs in the morning, if they're eating eggs, that's fine. But if you're planning on hatching them, it's a bad idea. The eggs can freeze and it'll kill the yolk. They can be in cold temperatures, you know, just as long as it's above freezing, you know, in a comfortable egg safe condition and it's not going to freeze the inside of the yolk, it'll be fine. But anyway, and you don't want them to sit out in too much heat either. A lot of heat is bad for an egg too, because it'll actually trigger the egg starting to develop. And then once you pick it up and you stick it in one of these crates, what happens? Yeah, it'll end up dying. So once you get your egg crate, this is today's haul. Once you get your egg crate filled up, okay, let me say this. Once you get the first egg in your egg crate, I don't care if you're getting 1, 2, 3, you know, a dozen and a half a day, whatever. Once you get an egg in your egg crate, the number one thing that you always have to remember to do before you set these eggs, you always have to rotate these eggs every morning and every night. These eggs have to be turned. Even though they're not being incubated, they have to be turned. If they sit too long in one position, the yolk will sink to the bottom, and when you turn them, when you actually go and set them in the incubator, the yolks will bust from sitting on the side of the egg. Even though that they have that membrane in there that's supposed to be slick to keep that from happening, temperatures and moisture levels and everything takes it into account. If you don't turn your eggs while they're sitting out before you hatch them, you're going to have a horrible, horrible hatch rate. So what I do with mine, and this is very important, when you turn your eggs, turn them slowly. If you don't turn them slowly, the yolks on the inside will get shook up. It's just like taking an egg and shaking it. It's going to bust the yolk. You don't want to bust your yolk, you'll kill your chick. So, now that that's done, what you're going to do is you're going to take this is my chick map. This right here is what keeps everything in order. This is my chicken book. I have the egg counts from 2010 in here. I've got everything that a breeder could ever want. If you want to know what one of my birds is, it's in this book. Every last single bit and piece of information that I've ever raised on a chicken is in this book. So anyway, the first thing that you want to do after you get your eggs and before you set them, you're going to write down every breed of chick that you're going to be hatching. You're going to write down the parents, and then you're going to write down both the parents, and then make an equal sign, and then you're going to write in your markings, whether it be left outer, right outer, left inner, right outer, or something like that. You're going to make a marking for each breed that you have. And what this allows you to do is this is going to allow you to keep track of everything as they grow up and they mature. And then once eventually they're pinned up, you're going to be able to know, you're going to be able to pick that up, and you're going to say, okay, well, here's his markings. What is he? And then you're going to be able to look in your book and you'll go, oh, that's what he is. Most of my chicks on my yard, most of all my animals, they're banded. I actually use zip ties. You take a zip tie it around their leg, it'll stay on there. It works just as well as the leg banders, except you don't have to pay $100, for 1,000 leg bands. Just get you multicolored zip ties and have one color for each year. That way you don't get anything mixed up. See, like my markings from my butchers this year are different from my markings from my butchers last year. So this right here is going to allow me to keep everything completely organized and set up. You set your eggs, you have to make sure that everything's perfect in your incubator. Always run through a test batch before you set your important eggs. Take you some yard bred eggs, throw in your incubator, make sure everything's perfect. See how things are going to hatch off this year. In this video, I've actually already set some yard eggs, and we're going to be doing, they're actually hatching in this video. And I've got the chick box set up. I'm going to be going over the chick box, what they eat, what to mix into their water. I'm going to be going over all that good stuff. I'll also have some pictures and stuff at the end, toward the end of the video, of some medicines that are really good for chicks and their development and growth, and vitamins and stuff to give them. I'll also put in the correct type of wormer to give them. There's a certain way you have to give it. It's very simple. We're going to be going over vaccinations and all that other good stuff. You want your chicks to be completely healthy, happy, and carefree as possible. The happier the animal is, the healthier it's going to be. If you put a tiger in a small cage and only feed it once every other day, that's not going to be a happy animal, and it's going to look horrible. I kind of classify chickens the same way. If you put a chicken in a small cage and don't give him anything to look at, don't keep him entertained and changing constantly, it's just one of those things to where they're going to digress instead of progress. So what you need to do is you need to find out fun and different ways for your chicks to be able to interact and have fun. You don't want to put too many chicks in one box. You have to, keep an eye on everything. So we're going to go over all that good stuff in this video, and it's going to be a long video. I'm guessing it's probably going to touch real close to an hour. So go ahead and find you some time to sit back and watch it. Surf through the sections and stuff. Find out what you're actually interested in learning about. But I'm going to be going over absolutely everything. Every possible way that you could raise up a chick, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be going over it. Everything from mama's hatching them to you hatching them. So anyway, like I said, this is the starting section of the video, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so as you can see, we have two of my styrofoam incubators. I'm doing a styrofoam incubator video because a lot of people have trouble hatching eggs out of a styrofoam incubator. I hatched out of these for a long time, and I'll tell you right now, these things are absolutely awesome. I prefer to use these over a Sportsman any day. I have a better hatch rate out of these than I've had out of any Sportsman. These particular incubators right here they're flawless. If you know how to use them correctly, they're flawless. You'll have every egg hatch that's fertile. And it's just a matter of keeping, you have to stay on it. I mean, you have to constantly check your temperature, constantly check your moisture. You have to turn your eggs. I don't use an egg turner. Egg turners are a waste of money. I've never hatched good out of an egg turner. I've had like 2 or 3 eggs hatch out of a dozen eggs. I just never hatched good out of an egg turner. I did everything it said to do, and I played with it and tinkered with it. Never did any good. So, anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over how I turn my eggs and what I do as far as my moisture levels go for my incubators during my hatch. And the way that works is there's this method they call dry incubation. Dry incubation is where once you set your eggs into your incubator, you put a very small amount of water, and that's all you put in there through the entire incubation period. The last 3 days before they hatch, you put another setup of water in there, and that's just to soften the shell and stuff. And when they actually break the shell, that membrane that goes over them, once the shell breaks, so that membrane won't dry out and it'll cake over their nose. You have to have the moisture level high up for that purpose alone, just so that that membrane won't dry out and make it unbreakable to where they can't get out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over how to do your dry incubation in these 2 incubators right here. This is a Little Giant incubator, and this is a Huva incubator. One of them's Tractor Supply brand, and the other one's Co-op brand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over how to do your dry incubation. I'm not going to open this one because I have chicks hatching right now, and I'll get that on camera and everything to show you all that. But anyway, that's what I'm going to show you all how to do dry incubation. I'd have a very high success rate with this. I use it myself. I'm not going to tell you all to do anything that I don't do myself. It works for me. If you do it right, stay on top of it. Turn your eggs every time you pass them. I know that's going to sound absolutely crazy, but I'm serious. Every time you pass your incubator, turn your eggs. And I'll show you all how I turn my eggs and how I used to turn my eggs. But I'm going to try to keep these lids on for as little time as I'm going to keep these lids off for as little time as I possibly can. So anyway, I'm going to grab the camera here, and we're going to move up a little bit closer. All right. So what we have here is my Co-op brand. This is my Co-op brand Little Giant incubator. I got little peeps in there right now. Where'd he go? Well, he's in there, or he's making that egg roll around in there. So the first thing that I want to point out is this incubator is just about 6 years old. This is an old incubator. This was my first incubator, and this was the first one that I personally used. It's like 6 years. It's been used for 6 years, and it's still running strong. It's got a couple of cosmetic issues, but that's beside the point. Alright, so the first thing you want to do with these incubators is they have holes in the bottom tray, in this bottom tray down here, not the top part, in this bottom tray right here, they have holes. Now, these holes are going to be there. Well, let me try to get this all on camera here. I'm having a hard time. The holes are going to be on the bottom tray. They'll be here, they'll be in each corner, and then they'll also be in the center. The first thing you want to do, the very first thing you want to do is plug those holes. You can use caulk, you can use tape. I used packing tape, as a matter of fact. I put a cross of electrical tape over it, and then I put some packing tape across it, and it's still holding strong today. The reason for that is you want to fill this whole bottom up with water on hatch day. Hatch day, you want this whole thing filled up with water. Just so that your eggs won't dry out. And those little trays in the center just ain't enough. When you set your eggs, you're going to take 3 cups. Just 3 cups of water, and you're going to pour in. And you're going to make sure that it's, throughout the whole incubator. You're going to make sure it's all the way around it, and you have a good little moisture setup. This is dry incubation. Once that dries out, once all that moisture dries out, leave it. Don't add no more water. Let it go until 3 days before you hatch. And 3 days before you hatch, you stop turning your eggs. The only reason you want to open this up is to pour the water in. You want to pour you probably want to take about 5 to 6 cups and pour in it on the 3 days before hatching. You want to take about 5-6 cups and pour in it. And then don't touch your eggs and they'll hatch. I know what everybody's thinking, and I'm dead serious. This is exactly what I do. This is what mostly all the main people that do these big hatcheries and stuff, they use dry incubation because it gets the best hatch rating. This right here is the incubator. As you can see, the setup on it's just a little bit different. We have the adjuster now, the temperature adjuster up here, and it's like a pole. It also has a tension drive on it to where you can, or a butterfly nut that you can crank it down so it can't turn. I really like this a lot better. This incubator, I like the way it's set up a lot better than the Co-op brand. I do like Co-op, but this one right here is just set up a little bit better. And I'm kind of getting back to here a little bit. I use quarters on top of these. I use coins. Just for the fact of I can adjust my temperature by moving that quarter and closing up that hole over how much I want, instead of just dropping a plug down in it and keeping it completely sealed up like this one right here. See, instead of dropping that plug in it like that, I can adjust my temperature by sliding it. So anyway, I'm going to get back to this. These Hoove incubators come with a big plastic tray that sits in the bottom, so you don't have to worry about the holes in the bottom of these. You set that big plastic tray down and you fill that whole thing up with water. Fill it up, which is actually about 3 cups. Do the same process. Fill it, let it sit. 3 days before they hatch, fill that son of a gun up with water. Fill it up, and you want your temperature to be perfect. My temperature constantly, here, I'm going to take the camera off the thing here because I think that would be a lot easier to do. Alright, so anyway, you want your temperatures to sit right around, let's see if I can get this, 99 degrees to 101. I try to keep mine between 103 and 99 degrees. Normally mine's sitting dead on 99, which is perfect, but you know, if it does go up to 103, no big deal. Turn it down a little bit. Another thing about these styrofoam incubators, they're going to adjust to the climate that's out here, that's out in the room. They're going to, that's just what they're going to do, just because, you know, they do have holes that access to the outside area, and pressure changes and stuff outside, and temperature changes inside here is also going to fluctuate their temperature. So it's going to be a constant battle. You want to put it into an area that has the most regulated temperature of your home. In this case, it's my room. I take my hatching very seriously. If you do end up putting these, end up putting incubators in your room, you might as well go ahead and get ready for a little bit of sleepless nights, because you're going to have these things peep, 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 peep all night long. And they'll scream and holler and be talking to each other while you're trying to sleep. But anyway, you want the outside temperature to be extremely regulated. I wouldn't suggest putting them in the basement. They don't stink, regardless of what people say. If you clean these things properly and you take care of them and you hatch the way you're supposed to in them, they do not stink. But anyway, don't help your chicks out of the eggs. That brings me to my next thing. Don't help your chicks out of the eggs. If it's been like 3 or 4 days and that thing is still stuck in there and he's alive, take him out. He's having trouble somewhere along the line. Go ahead and take him out. You want to watch the membranes. If the membranes bleed, the chances are you've killed that bird. Normally when a membrane bleeds for me, I set them down with the membrane facing down, and they're alright. But, you know, that kind of stuff comes with experience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all how to turn your eggs. What I do is this right here. I just make sure that I get all my eggs and I move them. But then again, I don't turn just twice a day. I turn every time I'm near my incubator. I turn them, and from my personal experience, that is the absolute best way to do it. When you have incubators like this, it's very important to keep an eye on your temperatures and your moisture, and, you know, make sure you turn your eggs. God, make sure you turn your eggs. I can't stress that enough. Make sure you turn your eggs. Don't forget to turn your eggs. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, turn your eggs. Alright, so on hatch day, here's what you want to do. See this little cover right here? We're going to take that off. When you hear the first peep, this slides over, this removes. This allows fresh oxygen to get down in there to those babies. If that's covered up, they're going to have a hard time breathing in there. Think about if you were in a steam room. It's pretty hard to breathe in a steam room, isn't it? What if you had to go in a steam room after fighting your way out of a cage for, 2 days? You'd be pretty ticked, breathing pretty hard, I'd imagine. So anyway, I'm gonna do this one time just for video purposes, and these eggs in here, I really don't much care for them. All right. So what we have here, we have one. Hey, buddy. I don't know if he's gonna peep or not for you. But anyway, as you can see, he's got a crack right here in the top end of his egg. I can't get that on camera. Anyway, he's got a little peep right there. Oh yeah, there he is. See, where's my microphone at, and I'll get y'all to hear him. Oh, there it is. Alright, so I don't know if y'all heard that or not, but he's peeping. He's pretty mad at me. Another thing you want to do, if you're checking these eggs, put them back down exactly the way you found them. Like, I just picked this egg up straight up from like that. Oh, and it rolled. You want that egg to sit exactly the way you picked it up. The reason being is the reason you stop turning eggs 3 days before they hatch is for the sole purpose of the chick inside's getting positioned. He's already working around that edge. He's already working around this edge to crack the shell open. So when you've got, I don't think that egg's any good. That one's good. That one's good. So when you've got these eggs in here, make sure they go back down exactly the way that you found them. These are just yard bred eggs. I just set all these eggs right here just to hatch this one egg. This right here came from my girlfriend's house, and she was wanting me to hatch it, and I told her I'm not going to stick one egg in the incubator. And she was like, I don't care what you do, just hatch it. So I had to go outside and grab some yard eggs and throw in there because I just didn't want to hatch one egg, run an incubator for one egg. I'm giving these away if anybody wants them. Once they hatch, if you want them, come get them. No charge. I don't want them. I don't know what, I know what the mama is, but I don't know what they are. The mama is a quarter, or 7/8, 7/8 sweater, 1/8 Kelso, Johnny Jumper Kelso. There's no telling what the daddy is. The daddy could be anything from a mug hatch, to a muff, to butcher red fox. It could be a nigger roundhead, regular gray. Could be another sweater. I don't know what there are, but anyway, that's pretty much the gist of it. I'm actually going to cover that completely back up and let that temperature rise in there a little bit. So anyway, that's how I turn my eggs and how I do my incubation. Once you set your eggs, get you a calendar, count 21 days. If you set them in the afternoon, you start on the next day. 1, 2, 3. If you set them in the morning, you go 1, 2, 3. You start on the first day that you set them. If you set them late that first day, start on the second day, and then that's what you go from. When I say 3 days back, when I say 3 days before they're ready to hatch, I'm talking, alright, here's day 1, day 2, day 3, okay? So 21 days. On day 21, you count back like this: 1, 2, and then stop turning on that day. If that makes sense. If you're looking at these dots, that's kind of what I'm going off of. You got 1, 2, 3. Make sure there's a day in between hatch day and the day you stop turning. 1 day. And that they'll hatch dead on time every time. Today is hatch day for me, and I've already got I got one pecking through, and the other ones are probably going to pop out like boobs at Mardi Gras. So, and that's normally what happens. They'll all hatch at one time. My incubation works for me. It's worked for me for the past 2-3 years that I started dry incubation. It works better than any other type of incubation I've tried. I enjoy these styrofoam incubators. If you all haven't noticed, I do have a pad underneath them. I have a blanket underneath them, and all that is to do is to keep them up off the floor, and if they should leak, if the water should leak, it's not going to get on my floor. I think I've covered just about everything to do with this. Once that one comes out, I'll show you all how to mark them. I'm going to mark him. I don't have any that marks by the nose this year, so I'm going to mark his nose and mark his foot, so I know what he is. That I just used him for the video, but I'm going to use him to mark and show you all how those work. Anyway, this has been a pretty tough video to shoot, just because it's kind of like stretched out over several days. But I hope it's informative for y'all. Alright, so on to the next scene. Alright, so a lot of people are going to say, what do you do if the power goes out? Well, it just so happens that right now at the farm, at the breeding farm, the power has went out. So what I'm going to show you all how to do is how to preserve your eggs so that they don't die. The hen does get up off the nest occasionally, so the temperature will drop a little bit. What we're going to try to prevent is the temperature dropping so much that it kills off your eggs. Once the temperature reaches about 85 degrees, maybe between 85 and 75 degrees, after it stays to that point, after about between 2 hours, maybe about 2 hours, it's a pretty safe bet that all your eggs are dead. Chuck them. So right now we have 2 styrofoam incubators, and what we're going to do is we're going to cover the tops up. What I like to do on mine is I like to use a quarter, so I can shut the valve completely off or just barely open it up and close it. So we're going to close up these, and what we're also going to do is these holes that are on top and over here across the backs and fronts is letting our heat out. We don't want our heat to get out, so we're going to double up a towel, and we're just going to, all we're going to do is cover up the whole incubator. And what this is going to do is that's going to trap a bunch of that heat in there. So we double it up, and we cover it. And what we'll do is we'll leave this incubator right here sitting at about 93 degrees right now, and this one right here is sitting at about somewhere between probably 92 and 95. So what this will do is this will hold the temperature in the incubators longer and give it a little bit more time for KUB or the power company to get your poles fixed and get the power back on. It's very important that you keep an eye on these when they do get the power back on, because you're going to have to take these off and fix your valves so that they can get the proper air. This incubator right here is actually about to hatch in 3 days. So I kind of got stiffed on that pretty good. Just for the fact of these are about to hatch, and these right here are still pretty early in their incubation. So these right here should be okay if they're pretty early. These are fairly early. These are about ready to hatch. So these are very important to keep warm. So anyway, that's for this segment of the video of power outages. Okay, so just a few minutes ago, I was downstairs and I heard a screaming and a peeping, and I've got a chick hatched. So, when they hatch, you want to do this as quickly as you possibly can. After they hatch, their skin's still going to be very soft. Their beaks are going to be really soft. Everything will be real easy to cut, clip, and mark without a lot of blood, if not any blood. It does hurt just a little bit. It'll hurt them worse if you wait longer. If you wait till they completely dry out, they'll actually get all the filling and everything in their limbs, and they'll feel it. But when they're this young, when they're this fresh out of the egg and they're still wet and they're still damp, this is the best time to do it. The chick that's in here is a yard bred chick. I'm not marking him any specific way. I'm just going to show you all how to mark him. I'm going to be clipping his nose, and I'm going to clip some webs of his feet, just to show you all how to do it. I don't have any marked by the nose this year, so this will let me. The nose marking will show me that this is a yard bred, and I won't get it confused with anything else. So what I'm using is a pair of pliers. These are what I like to use. Instead of clippers, this is what I use. They have a flat edge on one side, and then on the other side it's embedded. I'm not exactly sure what these are called. They're they're not side cutters, but they're some sort of clip. You can get them in a pack at Walmart. They've got tons of them. But anyway, this is what I prefer to use. You can butt it right up against the toe, clip it, flip it around, and clip the other side, and then the piece comes directly off. The tips allow you to get right underneath the nostril and just clip, and it's out. It's very fast, very easy. I'm going to show you all how to do it, and I'm going to try to get as close to the video and keep it, let you all see what I'm doing. But you want to kind of do it as quickly as you can and get him back in here, just for the fact that they can catch a cold very fast and they can die. So we don't want him to catch a cold, so we're going to do this real fast. I know he's right here at the edge, so I'm going to lift this up. Come here, little man. Alright, the first thing you want to check is the rear end. Right here, if they have something hanging out, they're not fully developed. The best thing that you can do is leave them alone. Put them in the incubator, leave them in the incubator until that dries up. You have about a 50-50 chance of them living. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the webbing on the inside of his feet right here, and we're going to stretch his toe out, and we're going to butt this right up against the edge of his toe, and you'll hear him peep just a little bit. We're going to clip one side, and then we're going to it's okay, baby. And we're going to clip, then we're going to go ahead and remove the web. Sometimes you got to do a couple of extra little clips in there to get it completely out. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm not getting it in there. Sorry. And There we go. Okay, so that's got his toe clipped. See, he's missing a web now. I don't like using the toe punches. The toe punches, they grow back up after a while. So what we're going to do next with this little guy is we're going to clip his nose right here. It's the cover on the nose. All you have to do, you're going to want to get a good grip on his head. Don't squeeze their heads too tight, because remember, they're fresh out of egg. They're still babies. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to put the edge, of the tip right here underneath the nose. And we're going to clip just a little bit at a time, so we don't hurt the baby. I know. Come here, we gotta get this done. Alright, we got it that time. Then you're gonna go through the back side here. And it's just a little flap. Like it's literally just a little flap of skin. And as you can see, none of it's bleeding because they're so fresh out the egg. I'm trying my best to get this on camera. My camera's not wanting to cooperate, but you can see, well, I don't know if you can see or not, but he's missing the flap on his nose now. The other side still has the flap. It's just a very, very light piece of skin. You don't want to get into the actual nostril on the bird. You don't want to get into the actual nostril, because then you'll clip that, it'll start to bleed, and then it'll flood his entire beak, which their beaks are connected to their mouth and to their throat. It'll flood it, they'll end up drowning in their own blood, or they'll suffocate and die. So you want to be very careful when you're clipping noses. The webs between the feet, the webbing in between their feet, all you have to do is clip one side, clip the other side, and then fold it up, and then clip the center, and then that'll mark them enough. If you use the toe punches, make sure that you punch them out, run that punch through every 2 weeks to make sure that punch stays fresh. Otherwise the webbing will grow back over top of the hole and you won't be able to know what's what. Some people use the scissors. Scissors are fine to use. I prefer to use, like I said, my little pliers. I've always used these. I've only had one set, this set right here, and they've worked great for years, and I'm going to continue to use them. That's the way you mark chicks. For those of you that are new to it, for those of you that's been marking them for years, try these out. Try these little pliers out. They work awesome. I think they're better than the scissors personally, but you know, people have their own preferences. But anyway, on to the next part of the video. Alright, so cleanup. As you all can see, I had a baby not quite make it. He had, let's see if I can find his shell here. What he had done was he had pecked that little part open, and what had happened is he dried out. I didn't know. I knew his egg was rocking. I didn't know it was open because I didn't pick it up and turn it or anything. But what had happened was he just wasn't quite completely ready to come out, and he busted it open and he dried out. This is what I was talking about when they're, as far as the development goes, when they come out, this will be showing, and sometimes it'll look, well, that's pretty gross. Sometimes it'll look, you know, bubbled up, kind of like this. It'll look bubbled up and everything. The best thing to do is just stick it in the incubator. If it's running around, stick it in the incubator, leave it. So what I had done after everything was over with and all that, I waited 3 extra days. I give everything a little bit extra time to hatch if it needed it. I cracked all these eggs open, and that was the only one that was fertile. That one and the chick that I got. The rest of them wasn't no count like I thought. It was... they were just coming out, just solid yolks. But anyway, cleanup. You have your eggshells and everything, and you have your dead chicks. What you need to do is go ahead and get you a plastic bag and put your eggshells in it. Now, another good tip, this is what I'm going to do with these eggshells. I'm going to crush these up, and then I'm going to give them to my chickens. It's great for their calcium. Awesome for their calcium. We're going to take this little guy right here, and we're going to set him over here to the side. You should have a netting in the bottom of your incubator. What we're going to do is we're going to tilt this forward. We're going to drain all the water, and then we're going to pop the netting up. And we're going to tap it off into the sink here. Doing this outside is also a good idea, but I wanted to do it inside because it's kind of cold outside. Alright, so our netting's clean. So you're going to set this aside. And now comes for the tedious task of cleaning this out. The trick is to clean these incubators. Put you a little bit of water in it. Don't use any chemicals. If you use chemicals in these incubators, it tends to cause problems during your hatch. People don't like problems during their hatching. So then you're going to take you a wash rag and make sure it's dry, because we just put water in it. So we kind of want to dry everything up. Just kind of wipe everything down real good. Make it loose. We're just loosening everything up. And for those of you that don't know this black in here is not mold. That's actually dried blood from a few years back. You don't want to scrub on this too much, just for the fact of it's a styrofoam incubator. The styrofoam will start to peel up and everything. If you have a couple eggshells left in here, it's no big deal. The only reason that I'm doing this, wiping it out and cleaning it, is for the smell. If you get an incubator and you don't clean it after you hatch, and you put another set of eggs in there, you're pretty much cooking. You're cooking eggs that didn't hatch. The remains of what's left. Eggs that did hatch, you know, you've got a little bit of fluid and stuff that goes in your incubator. If you're just filling it back up with water and throwing another set in there, you know, you're torturing yourself on that. It'll still work, and you should still hatch some out of it, but it's not going to smell too pretty. Alright, so that's just a wipe down. Just make sure you wipe it down and get all the nasty off of it. This one right here, like I said, it's about like 6 years old or something like that. It's got stains. You can tell this thing's been through hell and back. But anyway, you can see on here that I have tape covering up my holes. This allows me to fill this entire bottom tray up with water. And it holds it, don't leak or anything. All I did was I took some electrical tape, put a cross over each one of the holes, then took some packing tape and just went over top of it. And it held, I mean, that tape's been on there for years, and it's working. It's still completely airtight. But anyway, that's kind of that's the gist of getting this thing clean. You can use soap on it, but I wouldn't I wouldn't recommend it until at the end of the after you're done hatching. After you've already hatched all your eggs and you have everything done and complete, I wouldn't recommend putting any type of chemical. I don't care what it is. You can use vinegar to clean it. Vinegar would be okay. You can use vinegar to clean it. Vinegar and water. Like I said, I wouldn't use soap until the end of the season. Once this incubator is ready to be put up, it'll be cleaned real good. Probably soaked in some hot water for a little while, and then I'll let it sun dry, and then I'll put it up. But that's the basic cleanup for after you hatch.